So what do we understand from today's lecture is we will focus on the mantra for the Saturn, and we will focus on the Avatara for the Saturn, the Adhidevata and the Pratyadhidevata, and also nakshatras where Saturn owns, Saturn exalts, Saturn debilitates, etc. All that stuff. The significations of Saturn by and large, and also the smaller significations of Saturn. We'll talk about all this in the today's lecture. Let's start with the mantra as we do every time, the Saturn mantra. These mantras are taken from the Navagraha Aradhana of the Satyanarayana Vrata. These are easily available. And what we are trying to understand is the meaning with an astrological standpoint. I mean, from an astrological standpoint. So if you ask the Vedic scholars, they may define it in a different way. But we are trying to understand it. What does it mean from an astrological point of view? Okay. So the mantra is, it's a very common mantra. A lot of people do japas. Whenever you try to do japa for Saturn, this is, I believe, the most commonly heard mantra all across the whole Vedic people whenever they're doing the japa. So Saturn mantra is not new to most of the people. This is Syam Agnir Agnibhihi Karaschannaha Tapato Suryaha Syam Vato Vata Vara Papa Sridhaha. This is how the break, I mean, if you break and read it, while doing the japa, people read it, the Sandhi Vichhed is not done. All of the mantra is spelled like this. Syam Agnir Agnibhis Karaschannas Tapato Suryaha Syam Vato Vata Varapapa Sridhaha. This is how it is spelled. So let's break it down. So how does the mantra start? The mantra starts with this word called Syam. Okay, Syam. If you see the word Syam, if you know the deity Shankara, what does Shankara mean? Syam is prosperity, peace. Okay, Shankara. Kara means making of peace. So somebody who brings in peace is called Shankara. So this mantra, a little strange for people when you look at Saturn. Every time it is blamed for a lot of the bad things. I mean, usually Saturn takes the blame. There is also a reason for it. We will eventually understand when we complete this lecture. So Shankara, and this mantra starts with Sham. Okay, so somebody who brings in peace or who lives in peace. Okay, Shankara can also mean who lives in cold, who is cold, because Shankara is an epithet of Rudra, right? When he is very aggressive, he is called as Rudra. Rudra comes from this word called Ruda, or crying, okay, or howling rather. If somebody is howling, yelling at you, he's called as Rudra, okay? And when he is not crying and when he's trying to do the tapas and when he is very cold, he's called as Shankara, who is bringing the peace for you. I'm trying to explain this from the very, very basic understanding of it. Okay. So, Shankara. So from there, it is Sham Agnibhihi. So this man, Saturn, is trying to make the Agnis fight against each other. We have understood in the last in the last class that Venus is also an Agni, right? Because Venus is the most hottest planet that appears as a morning star and also sometimes appears as an evening star. And it is one of the brightest things to appear at dawn or dusk. Okay, so what we will understand from this is he is taken the side of one Agni and making this Agni fight against the other Agni. This can also mean that. Okay, there are several meanings that you can decipher from just Sham Agnir Agnibhihi. Okay, Sham Agnir Agnibhihi can also mean, he's playing with two fires. Okay, one fire is small, the other fire is large. So as I said, one can be Venus, the other can be Sun. Okay, or when he was alongside Sun, he's trying to fight the other fires. Okay, while he was a kid. See, for any kid, his father is his hero, right? Saturn had that opportunity for some time when Chaya, we have read the story or understood the story in Bharani. Whoever has not listened to the Nakshatras lectures, please go back and read the Nakshatra lectures of Ashwini and Bharani to understand what Saturn, Sun, Chaya, okay, all these have got to do about. Okay, Chaya is the mother of Saturn, Sun is the father of Saturn. So we have to be very clear about these things. So if you do not know these things, please go and learn from the videos of the nakshatras, Ashwini and Bharani especially. Okay, so Saturn is trying to fight fire with a fire. Okay, that can be one thing. Karaschannas tapatu suryaha. This also you can make a lot of meanings from it. Okay, there is a fire lit up. When you stand upon, let us suppose you're standing on Saturn and trying to observe Sun from there. Obviously, we all know that Saturn is the most farthest planet in the solar system. So if you look at Sun from there, how would it appear? It appears like a very small dot from there. Okay. Let us suppose if all of you know Deepa Radhana, right? Everybody will light up a lamp at your own temple in your home. So when you light up the lamp, when the fuel is less, when the oil is about to go off, it will lit up, and when it is about to die, it is going to die very slowly, right? Or it has got the smallest fire in it. Or sun appears like a small dot from Saturn because it is very far. So wherein it can be held into hands and said, I can catch the sun in my hands. Okay, it is so small. Or you're trying to protect the sun with your smallest hands. Oh, Saturn, you are the most mightiest. This can also be the meaning. Okay. Tapatu Suryaha can also have, at least 5-10 meanings, of which what I liked is Tapatu Suryaha. Tapatu means somebody who is doing the tapas. Sun is constantly on tapas for Saturn. Look, I have got a very good son, is very good kid, is what the sun feels sometimes. Okay. And also, sun feels that I've got one of the bad kids a few times. Both things are there with Sun and Saturn. Okay. So as I said, if you do not agree with this, I have done lectures on Sun. Please go and read the relationship of Sun with many planets. There I have explained no two planets, no two planets are such that they agree to all the qualities of each other. No two planets are there. Even if you pick your friends, planets are like the people. If you pick a friend, you would say, look, there are so many great qualities about this person. These are those great qualities. And these are the few bad qualities in him. Everybody does this. It is not just you, me. Anybody who tries to judge the other person will do it, right? So similarly, planets also behave the same way. This person is excellent on these things, very bad at these things. However, Saturn and Sun share a very different relationship because they are father and son. So they want, although they have a huge enmity between them, they want each other to excel as well. Saturn does not want his father to die, nor Sun does not want his kid Saturn to die. So there is this mutual love-hate relationship that exists. The best example for Hindi people is that movie which came in Surya Vamsham. People often make fun of it because of the movie, the way it was done. But even now, a lot of people see it. Right, you can see the father and the son relationship. A similar relationship is what you can see with Sun and Saturn. Okay. You can see Skaraschannas tapatu suryaha syam vato vata vara papa sridhaha. This is also a very important line. Syam vato vata vara papa sridhaha. Syam means, again, peace. Okay. Peace. How does Saturn bring in peace? Syam vato vata. You need wind. Vata means wind. Why do you need wind, or why do you need air? You need air to breathe, right? You need oxygen to breathe. If you don't have air, the maximum that you can live is a minute, not more than that, right? Or maybe 2 minutes if you're a great person, or maybe 3 minutes, not more than that. Without food or water or something, you can live for 20, 21 days. People have even shown much higher. So, I mean, I'm not debating on the time, okay? So the time that you can live without air is the lowest, right? Everybody agrees with that. And if you have a great air conditioner, right? You what you would feel, your body will feel very happy. Oh, I've got a great air conditioner. Although the temperature outside is 50 degrees, I have a very good air conditioner wherein I can have my temperature set at 24 and I can enjoy the comfort. How does that come? Because of the compression of the air, right? Compressors compress the air and supply air to us, the compressed air to us. Because the air is compressed, it is happy. Let us suppose you're standing in the hot sun or standing beside a furnace, right? Or you are I mean you why do I have to say you? Anybody for that matter. Somebody is standing under the sun, they'll feel very hot due to the wind that comes out in the summer. Okay. And let us suppose you're sitting or standing beside a blast furnace, okay, which is about 1400 degrees centigrade. Then you would still feel much hotter, right? Or if you're doing a mining job, you're just standing a little away from it. But because of the wind the blast furnace is giving, you're feeling the heat. Or there is a cyclone that happens, and what you will be afraid of? You'll be afraid of the wind speeds, right? Nobody is worried about how much the precipitation would be. I mean, how much the rainfall would be. It would be also, it would also be a concern. However, the most fearful factor of the cyclone or a typhoon or whatever name you would give it in your region, cyclone thing is the wind. If the wind is at 200 kmph, okay, the most dangerous, or it can be even higher, even more dangerous. So depending on the wind speed, the cyclones are, or the damage, the kind of damage that a cyclone can do is described. I have talked about this in Swati Nakshatra as well. Okay. So you should have read nakshatras by now. So I'm assuming that you have read all the 27 nakshatras, and I'm trying to give a gist from everything. Okay. So how does Sham Vato Vata Vara Papa Shrithaha? That means Saturn is going to give you a breeze of a cool wind when you see that you have done the punya or the good deeds. Okay. So Saturn is like the judge. Everybody knows this. Saturn is the karma karaka, right? For whatever karma that we have done, Saturn is going to give the results. So if there is a good karma in the past life or even in this life, or whatever good karma that you have done, Saturn will give you a good result for it. That is Vara. Vara means the bliss or the blessing. Vara, Papa, Sritaha. You can see here, Sham, Vato, Vata, Vara. Vara means giving a Vara. It's common in all the languages. Vara is the same in Tamil, Vara is same in English, I mean Hindi, Telugu, all the languages, it is Vara. Papa, the same thing. Okay. Papa. So for the bad deeds and the good deeds, Saturn is going to either bless you or punish you. What do you understand from this? Saturn should not be blamed, but it is our karma that has to be blamed for it. Okay. So Saturn is trying to give results based on our karma in the form of Vara and Papa. Right? Syam Vato Vata Vara Papa Shridhaha. Okay. And by giving kashta or by giving difficulties in life, Saturn is trying to do this Shridha. Shridha is remover. By giving comforts in your life, he is removing your punya also. That means we call it punya kshaya. Punya kshaya means let us suppose you have 100 rupees of punya in your bank. And if you're buying something to eat, your bank will be over, right? 100 rupees will be spent. Similarly, your punya is also spent similarly, like like the comforts come in, your punya is spent. You have difficulties, your papa is spent, right? Punya and papa are related. Both are governed by Saturn. Saturn takes care of it, your punya and papa. So, I mean, do not ever think that, okay, there is a Saturn dasha coming, so it is just coming to give me a punya or papa. It doesn't work like that. No matter whatever dasha is, no matter whatever is the whole thing, even the Saturn dasha can be very blissful thing. Even if the person is has done a lot of mistakes, it can still be blissful. Similarly, even if the person has not done any mistake in this life, there is some other papa that he did in the past life. For that, there can be punishment in this life. It depends. You cannot say Saturn's dasha will be bad. However, there will be the Naisargika dasha feelings a little bit, maybe 3%, 5%, 10% is what the Naisargika will work. Naisargika means the natural thing. Okay. But 90% of the result will depend on your placements in different chakras. And most importantly, as we have read, all the nakshatra placements. They are going to give you the results. So as I have done even the last time for all the planets, I have given a description here of the mantra, or whatever I felt would be right. These are all my own words. So you can read, okay? So Saturn gives sorrow and Saturn also gives comforts. Both of them Saturn can give. You keep doing good deeds, comforts will automatically come. All right. Okay. The Avatara is the most untalked, the most unappreciated. That is the Kurma avatar. You talk about the Kshirosagar Madhana. Okay, the Kshirosagar Madhana is the churning of the cosmic ocean, right? When this was done, this was explained in. I think I explained this in Mula Nakshatra. You need a detailed thing. You can go to Mula Nakshatra. I've explained there well. Also, a lot of content will be available in the internet. If you do not know what the cosmic ocean churning is, please go and read that. It is simply called as the Kshira Sagar Madhana. Okay. So when the ocean was churned, this man, the Vishnu, who took an avatar of the Kurma. Kurma is the tortoise, right? If you see the Kurma, right? Whenever there are tortoises, have you ever seen? You must have definitely seen tortoises. So just see how they are living. Wherever they are crawling, right? Wherever they are crawling or wherever they are living, what happens there is they, they usually live both on, they are amphibians, everybody knows that. So they can live both in water and also on the land. So when that happens, when they walk into the water, most of the times the water gets dirty, right? Water is a lot dirtier when there are tortoises there. So when you keep clean water, the tortoises walk back into the soil, get that soil back into the water, get the water dirtier. This usually happens with the tortoises because they keep walking onto the land and back into the water. No matter how much ever you keep the water clean, the water still goes darker and darker, or muddier or dirtier, whatever way you want to describe it. That is how tortoises live. This is most important thing that you have to note. So Saturn is a planet that likes to be unclean, okay, or does not care much about the cleanliness, or moon represents the water, and Saturn is actually an opposer of more an opposer of a moon. Okay, you see the story of Saturn and Yama in the Bharani Nakshatra. Both were actually opposing the mother. They did not like the stepmothers that they had. Okay, so the moon is Saturn dislikes moon the more than the sun. Okay, if you understand this, because if you see from the Aquarius, which is the Mula Trikona, moon happens to be the sixth lord, right? So the enmity is more with the sixth lord than the seventh lord. I agree. Yes, seventh lord is a competition. I do not deny that. Saturn competes with Saturn competes with Sun, right? I do not disagree that. However, Moon is a bigger enemy of Saturn. However, Moon considers Saturn, for that matter, all the planets as equals, right? So, next is on the Kurma Avatara, the other important point. I would say pick up a book or pick up a movie that describes the Kshir Sagar Mathana and understand it from that perspective. Today, internet is available. There are a lot of animated videos, etc., available. Watch that. Or the other best thing is have a pravachan of the Kurma Avatara. Okay, we have got great people in Telugu who can teach us. Because how I picked that tortoise making the water muddy, that was the first or the third sentence probably the Pravachanakarta has told in the Pravachan. So that actually struck me so much. And that's how we can stay inspired and connect these things. All right. So everybody knows this, that Paramashiva, the Rudra came up and said, okay, you were churning the ocean. I'm trying to keep it as short as possible. Okay. You're churning the ocean for Amrita, okay, the celestial nectar. But what came out as the poison? Okay. So poison may kill. So let me eat the poison, is what the Shankara said. Everybody knows this. But did you know, I think nobody right now know in the class that, okay, a few from the Telugu class would know, obviously, because they must have heard it there, or they must have, heard this in the Pravachanas. So somebody who's new to Pravachan or something, or just a simple person may not know this. The fact is, when the poison came out, all these people who are churning the ocean, on one side you have Devatas, the other side you have the Rakshasas. Everybody knows this, right? When the poison came out, it came out like a fire, and everybody were feeling the pain, and everybody could not breathe, right? Because it was like a fire. And they all left this Mandar Parvata. This Parvata was left here. This mountain was left here. The Vasuki was left here. And the tortoise, which was holding this Mandar Parvata, was also inside. And all these people went running to Shiva. And that the poison, the Visha that came out of the churning of the ocean has actually reached the Kurma Avatara, and all his back has got burnt, right? And the Kurma Avatara felt very bad for it. It took many years for it to regain the original state. He went to this place Kanchi near the Chennai, and he worshipped the Shiva there, okay, to get rid of his burns, bruises, etc., that came out of the Kalakuta, or the Visha that came out, the poison that came out from the Kshirasagara Mathana. So what you can understand from this Avatara is two things. One is, the Devatas did not call the Kurma Avatar. They were advised for the churning of the ocean by the Vishnu. Vishnu thought these people cannot wholly do it. So what Vishnu did is, he tried to help them by becoming the Kurma Avatara himself. Okay. And Vishnu advised them how to get the Mandar Parvata out of it with the help of others, and how to bring it to the shore. There's a whole lot of big story that happens. Please go and read. Besides this, also Kurma Avatara gets another Avatara inside, that is the Mohini Avatara. Even after the nectar came out, the Amrita came out, Vishnu did not leave the Devatas there. Vishnu was a biased man with respect to the Devatas. He wanted the Devatas to win. He wanted the Dharma to win. So he became the Mohini Avatara, right? So you can see that there are two Avataras here, where the job of Saturn, rather the Kurma Avatar or the Saturn for that matter, is to help people even without asking for it. The Indra did not ask Vishnu's help to become a Kurma Avatara and help him. Look at all the other avatars, right? If you look at the Vamana Avatara was requested by Aditi. Aditi wanted Indra to get back his kingdom. It was Aditi's request that came first, and the Vishnu came down as the Vamana. In case of Kurma, that did not happen. Kurma came by himself. He was like voluntarily helped the Indra without even asking for it. Okay, so this is another trait you can understand from Saturn. Okay, Saturn is a person who is going to help people voluntarily. Okay, so that is one of the good significations of Saturn. Okay, so one is patience, because Kurmavatara had to wait for a long time to get rid of those wounds that he had. Because let us assume that you put a mountain over your back and somebody is churning it. look at the friction that can create on the back, and all your skin will peel off due to the friction, right? It's not a simple thing. It is a big mountain that is put on your back, and they're trying to churn it. They're trying to move it up and down, right and left, and all the skin will peel off. So to avoid that, or to resist it a lot, the Avatara is like a tortoise, wherein the back is like a shell, right? The tortoise's backs are like rock hard, right? So what you can understand is Saturn also represents the back. Okay, Jupiter also represents it. Saturn also represents the back. The backbone is represented by Sagittarius, the ninth house, and also the Saturn, right? These two things will represent the back. So back aches, lower back, upper back, and all that comes from the Sagittarius or the Saturn. Okay. And then you have the Pratyadi Devata and the Adidevata. The Adidevata is Yama. Okay. Yama is a judge. You all know that. Yama is a judge. Where he is a judge? He's a judge at the hell. What does he do? When the Atma goes there, the Atma will be punished by the Yama. So Saturn sits like a judge, tries to understand what you have done all through the life of this birth, analyzes that, gives punishments, and also will send you for comforts to the Swarga. And then if you have another life, you will be sent back again into another yoni, right? This is what happens. So the Adhidevata, the Pratyadi Devata is the Prajapati. Prajapati is, if you read Rohini, if you have read Rohini already, you would know what Prajapati is. Prajapati is the creator. Okay. So Saturn is a big creator. Saturn helps in creating things, right? Saturn helps the, how can I say this? Saturn helps the unconventional creation. The conventional creation happens from the sun, because sun rules the creativity. It is the fifth house thing. And Saturn actually rules the ninth house as well in one way, because your guru is because of your karma, right? If you see the 10th house, 12th house from there is the ninth house. So Saturn also is responsible for the ninth house. So it is a lot responsible for the creation, but the the unconventional creation is ruled by the Saturn. Most of the times people think Saturn as, or people represent, or astrologers represent it as the Brahma. The Brahma is the Saturn, right? You know why? Because Brahma is usually depicted the older person than the Vishnu. If you see, Vishnu's child is Brahma. Everybody knows that Brahma came out of the Nabhi of Vishnu, from the navel of the Vishnu. So he's the child of Vishnu. However, if you look at the photo anytime, or the image that the Trimurti is shown, Brahma is always shown older than these two people, although he's the child of Vishnu, right? So Saturn is like that. Although Saturn came out of sun, still Saturn is a very old man than the sun, even in the age thing as well. It's a similar concept. Okay. So let's understand Saturn from different nakshatras. Okay. Saturn, the Saturn's Mula Trikona is of the Aquarius. I think somebody asked me a question. I'm not very sure if I explained this. Okay, I did not. In the English class, I did not. Somebody asked me a question. Why is it not Capricorn? Why is Saturn's Mula Trikona is not the Capricorn? Why is it Aquarius? Because usually it looks like everybody would rule those Capricorn. Mars is ruled by Mars is ruling this Aries. I mean, the Mula Trikona is the Aries. Moon is the Taurus, and Sun is the Leo. Everyone knows that. So there is a story how these Mula Trikonas formed, right? Mula Trikonas formed like this. All the 12 houses were owned by Sun and Moon. At one point in time, all the 12 houses belonged to Sun and Moon, 6 houses each. From the Leo, okay, Leo is usually considered as the center. Leo and Cancer are the center, okay, of the galaxy. And that is why you have planets in the Leo, or if you're a Leo Lagna, you are always at the center of the stage, or you want to take the center stage, especially in the Navamsha. When we get into Navamsha, we'll talk about it. However, so Saturn, Sun held the houses starting from Leo to Capricorn. Moon had the houses from Cancer, counting rivers, to Aquarius. Okay. So Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Capricorn belong to the Sun. Cancer, Gemini, Taurus, Aries, Pisces, Aquarius belong to the Moon. So the first child came out and said, look, I'm Saturn, I need houses. So he went to the mother, Moon, and he also went to the father. Because he loved, Moon ruled the night, right? And Moon rules the tamas. Sun rules the light, and Sun rules the sattva, right? So, because at night is where you have the tamas. So the Papa Grahas, like the Mars and the Saturn, took the houses that were given by the Tamas planet, that is the Moon, or the night planet, that is the Moon, right? And the Shubha Grahas have all picked up the houses given by Sun as Mula Trikonas. Mercury is Virgo, Libra is Venus, Jupiter is Sagittarius, because these are Sattva planets. Saturn and Mars are the Tamas planets. So they got into Aquarius and Aries. Okay. All right. So Vasunag Shravishta Bhutam Parastat Bhutir Avastat. This is the first nakshatra that is in the Aquarius. Okay. Half of it is in Capricorn and the half of it is in Aquarius. Right. This is where the Mars exalts. Okay. That is the Dhanishta nakshatra. Okay. Whoever did not read my nakshatra classes, please go and watch them. They are more informative. So I'm assuming you must have read those. So I'm keeping this as short as possible. So Saturn represents the Shravishta nakshatra at the first. Look at this nakshatra Shravishta, Vasunag Shravishta, Bhutam Parastat, Bhutir Avastat. You can see Vasunag. This is about a story of the Bhishma. You can see Saturn is a neuter. Saturn is an old man. Bhishma is the oldest man of the Kaurava or the Pandava, the Kuru kingdom, we call it as a whole. For that, he is the most eldest person, right? So Saturn is the eldest one. What is Saturn doing, or what did Bhishma do all his life? He was like a Bhritya. Bhritya means a helper. Bhishma never ruled a Rajya. What did Bhishma do? He always installed someone and did help the king. Okay, whoever the king is, he always stood like a helper for him. If everybody must have watched Bahubali, the one the Katapa was doing exactly the same thing as Bhishma was doing. So in simple terms, if you watched Bahubali, Katapa is Saturn. Okay, although Katapa was shown like a slave, that exactly fits what Saturn is. Bhishma did almost the same thing, because although he was the most experienced, most mightiest, nobody could pull him down or nobody could kill him, he still obliged and said, okay, I'm going to take a shapadha saying I will not marry. I will install the kings based on my mother's request or my father's request. Follow that and show some maturity. This also Saturn does. Okay, showing maturity, sacrificing his life for somebody else. This is what is the biggest trait of Saturn. Saturn sacrifices life for somebody else. Okay, so if you see Bhishma, he has sacrificed his life for the Kuru clan, for the Kuru kingdom, right? He never was a king, but all that he was doing was to help the king. That is what Saturn as well will do. Okay. The next nakshatra is Indrasya Satabhishak. After the Vasunag Savishta or the Dhanishta nakshatra, you have Satabhishak nakshatra. Okay, although this nakshatra will imply more to the Rahu. Okay, we will talk about Rahu maybe 2 classes later. So there we will get to know more about Rahu. But Saturn, look at Saturn. Saturn has a Mula Trikona in Aquarius. He was such a big, how do we say, Danashili? What is the right word for it? He's such a guy who can donate everything. So what he did is he gave away half of his Mula Trikona to Rahu. Okay, I'm sitting here. Please come and sit. Okay, so Indrasya Satabhishak Viswavyachaha Parastat Visvakshitir Avastat. Please read this nakshatra also. You will have great insights from here also. You can connect Saturn from here also. If you read these nakshatras, the advantage is you can also connect to those stories of Saturn and you will understand Saturn even much better. Okay. Indrasya Satabhishak. What did Varuna do? We talked about Varuna Devata here. Varuna rules the waters. Varuna rules the ice age. We've talked about this in length in Satabhishak Nakshatra. Please go there and read. There is no shortcut for hard work. And Saturn represents all hard work. You should have, everybody who's learning astrology should have patience to understand the significations very well and can't jump into predictions overnight. Okay, it needs a lot of practice and a lot of understanding. Although the D1 chart looks all the same, the whole results can be entirely different because of just a few things of a change. Okay, the results will be completely different. Otherwise, you can see for all the people that you have born on a day, everybody will have the same chart, right? The moon will be the same place, the Jupiter same place, Mars same place, Sun same place. Everything will be same. Just the lagna is different. A little bit of Navamsha lagna is different and so on. So if you don't have the right birth time or if you don't do the right birth time correction, it becomes very impossible for you to predict what is going to happen. Okay, so please be patient and learn. Indrasya Satabhishak. So we are talking about Varuna, who was ruling the ice age, who was ruling the dark times, who was ruling when there was no sunlight on the earth. This is what we have talked about. So Saturn exactly represents that. There is not enough light on Saturn, and Saturn is the most coldest of all, right? Saturn goes against Sun. Saturn does not like monarchy. Saturn does not like anybody who gets automatically qualified. He objects it. He would say merit should be the process for selection. Okay. He is against monarchy. He's against hierarchy. He's against capitalism. He's pro-communist. Okay, he's pro-social. He's pro, what do you call that? Socialist. He's more of a socialist person. He would say all the wealth should be distributed all across similarly. Whether it works or not for different reasons, it's a different debate. But what Saturn feels is everybody should get an equal opportunity. What was Venus doing? He was taking the side of Saturn because Saturn was thrown out by the sun for having these kind of ideas. And Venus wanted always to help the marginalized people. That is why he picked up the Saturn, if you remember the last lecture of Venus or the previous lecture of Venus. Okay, so the Varuna Devata represents the coldest part or the darkest part when sun was not there. And Varuna established a kingdom against the Indra. Okay, or he did not want Indra to become the king, and he always ruled the dark time. If you look at the ice age, right? Why was the ice age there? Because there is not enough sunlight being, supplied to the earth. That is why there is ice age. So Saturn constantly has an ice age, if you know, because there is always a cool thing there. Its temperatures are freezing. Okay. There is so much more in the nakshatra that I have explained. I do not want to reiterate, so I'm trying to cut short things. and focus on what significations of Saturn are. Okay. The other nakshatra I will talk about is Vayor Nishtya Vratatihi Parastat Asiddhir Avastat. This is the Swati nakshatra. At the 20th degree of Libra, Saturn exalts, and that is where Swati nakshatra is. Right? Swati nakshatra is, and Saturn exalts here for just one thing. Vayor Nishtya Vratatihi. The wind with Nishtha is doing a vrata. Okay, there are not exact words available in English, so I just use the same thing. Wind is doing a vrata with Nishtha, right? Vrata is like a puja. Everybody knows this. Nishtha is, following, what is that? Austerity or sacredness or something like that. Okay, there's no exact word. If somebody knows, please let me know. Vayor Nishtya Vratatihi Parastat Asiddhir Avastat. So I have also explained this in detail in Swati Nakshatra. Please go and read that stuff. You will understand why Saturn exalts in Swati. Because there is just the wind in the air. Okay. Sun needs a place, a foundation to build upon. Saturn does not need a foundation to build upon anything. He will try to build it in the air. Okay. How would somebody build something in the air? You can still build, what is that? International space station. Where is it? It is in the air. Something can be built in the air as well, right? If it cannot be built, how was it built? It's built, right? So Saturn tries to build something of that sort. Or Saturn tries to do the most unconventional inventions. What is conventionally believed to be not possible can be achieved by Saturn. Okay. Saturn can be controlled by Mercury. Saturn can be controlled by Mars. Saturn can be controlled by Sun. Saturn can be controlled to an extent by Jupiter. Most importantly, Saturn is controlled, most likely, most of the times is controlled by Mars and Mercury. Okay. Why I'm telling you this is sometimes a planet cannot be remedied. Let us suppose Saturn is in such a situation wherein it cannot be remedied. Then what you do is you take another planet, try to improve it. Then you try to suppress the Saturn by improving this planet. Okay. So the counterparts of Saturn are Sun, Mars, and Mercury. Most importantly, Mars and Mercury. Sun also can control a lot of Saturn. Okay. So Saturn does the most unconventional thing. Saturn is the most sacrificial person. And what does Asiddhir would mean is Saturn tries to build a lot of castles in air and tries to, settle for less. Asiddhir means settling for a little less. Saturn is a perfectionist. Let us suppose a person who is trying to distribute money exactly equally across all the people in the world. Let us suppose there is 1 billion cash available and there is 1 billion people available. Try to distribute 1 rupee each or $1 each. What happens then? It's just a socialistic way of thinking. This is what Saturn does. However, the people who are lethargic or lazy will still not go to work and sleep. And the other people who are going to work will do something, make food, and try to sell it for money again to those people who are lethargic. And that $1 will be exhausted in a day or two. And again, they're back in the same position what they were previously. Okay, this can also happen. Okay, so that is what is Asiddhir. Saturn settles for a little less. He tries to be a perfectionist everywhere, but sometimes these things are not practical. Saturn fails at that level. Okay, because see, a lot of people say, and I also agree that Saturn is the person who would push for democracy. Okay, Saturn dislikes monarchy. So what is against the monarchy? It's like a democracy, right? When people thought about democracy, they said everything is possible in democracy, but democracy also has one of the biggest disadvantages of making a decision, to be taken at the right time, because you have to fight the opposition And there will be a lot of things that can, that can delay the whole thing. That is what Saturn represents. Saturn delays things. You cannot take decisions very quick in a democracy, right? So Saturn represents that. Sun is a monarchy on the other side. You can take a decision in a jiffy, right? You can do any decision because you are the king. You are the only ruler, right? You can do anything that you would want. Sometimes it is useful to be having a monarchy, and sometimes it is good to have a democracy. I'm not saying democracy is bad and monarchy is good. No, I'm never. Anyway, my opinion will not matter because what the grahas are thinking is what is more important. So there are two viewpoints. One thinks absolutely that monarchy is great. The other one thinks democracy is great, right? So this is what is all about Swati. And Swati also has the wind. So the most powerful of all the elements in the whole world, all the five elements that you all know, Prithvi, Rapas, Tejo, Vayu, Akashaha, all the five elements, of which we've talked about this in the first class, the class 1 of the Panchanga. You can go back and hear to that we have understood that the Vayu or the wind is the most powerful one. So Saturn is the most powerful planet in the whole horoscope. Wherever he sits, it makes a huge difference for the total horoscope. So that is why I keep discouraging people to make predictions based on just one planet and one placement. As I keep saying, there are a few people who do it, but the advantage for them is they always have a Prashna chart in front of them and they are experts on Prashna. And that is why they are able to make that prediction for you. Otherwise, it's just not based on that one planet, one Rashi, one house. It becomes extremely difficult. At least I could not master it. I never got it because another planet at a place, no matter, for example, no matter how much ever you learn about the planet moon in Lagna, okay, let us suppose you mastered it. Even then, if there is Saturn in the fourth house, then you have the moon in Lagna is completely different. The Saturn in the second house, the moon in Lagna is different. Saturn in the third house, the moon in Lagna is different. Saturn will influence all the 12 houses, almost all, wherever even it sits. Although it has only the 7th drishti, the 10th drishti, and the 3rd drishti, and wherever it sits. So just count those things. Saturn influences almost all the planets because it is one of the bigger planets. Similar is Jupiter. So if you don't look at the whole horoscope and try, because a lot of people are commenting in the YouTube asking, look, my sun is here and my Lagna is this, what is the prediction? I can never make such a prediction because I'm not good at it. I don't think anybody will be good as well, because if you don't know where the Saturn is, where the Jupiter is, and the kind of person I am, I can never want to give a prediction because it can go wrong. It can go wrong. Okay. So that is what Saturn is trying to achieve. It is trying to achieve perfection, but despite that, there is some imperfection because of the overthinking of the perfection. Okay, the nakshatra where Saturn gets debilitated is the Bharani. Bharani is Yamasya Apabharani Apakarshantaha Parastat Apavahanto Avastat. Please also look into this. Saturn, again, Bharani is where the moon, the moon thing appears, and that is where the Saturn debilitates there. We've talked about this, the mother of Saturn, the stepmother of Saturn, etc. in the Bharani nakshatra. Please read that nakshatra as well. And Apavahanto Apabharani. Apa is the water. Okay. Yamasya Apabharani. Yamasya, everybody knows Saturn tries to be a judge. Okay. Saturn is highly judgmental. Saturn tries to judge people. Okay. Saturn is dark black. What do lawyers wear? All the lawyers wear the black coats, right? So it is dark. And you can see Apabharani. Apabharani is the water. It is trying to carry the water, bad water. What is bad water? Water carries emotions. Saturn is a very dry planet and moon is completely watery planet. Saturn exactly is opposite of what Moon is. There is no water on Saturn. Saturn is fully a windy planet. There is no water. All that you have is cool wind, extremely cool, windy stuff is all, because Saturn is a gas giant. There is no surface over it. It's just wind. Our people, our scientists have understood this in the past 100 or so years, whereas we knew this quite long ago. I mean, as astrologers or astronomers or the rishis, whomever you want to name them, we as people who, I mean, we in the sense, our culture from India, we knew this long ago, right? So it's a gas giant. It doesn't have any solid state in this. Even here, you will, yeah, he's dry, right? He's dry. He's a gas giant, he's dry, there is no water, no emotions. So that's why a lot of people comment that Saturn and Moon, as I said, even at the start of the thing, the Kurma Avatara, the dirty water, I talked about the dirty water thing. So, Saturn Moon combinations will make dirty water or the water escape becoming difficult. So, based on that as well, we will give predictions, but always use Lagna. Okay. Just not merely having Saturn and Moon together or Saturn and Moon placed against each other will make this yoga, not every time. Okay. You need to use your Lagna properly. Okay. So, Yamasya apabharani apakarshantaha parastat apavahanto avastat. I've described this in very much of detail in Bharani Nakshatra. Please go there, read it, do some work for yourself. Okay. So Saturn is a big judge, as I kept saying. He rewards and delivers punishments. Okay. So both Saturn will do. It does not mean that whenever Saturn Dasha comes or an Antardasha comes, it is going to give you reward or a punishment. No, not like that. It doesn't work like that. Okay. Saturn can make other planet, I mean, any planet can deliver results from any other planet's Dasha. What you will keep thinking, if it was so straightforward, if your Saturn is bad and Saturn Dasha came and Saturn results are coming, it is not that straightforward. It is not that straight, easy thing. It will take a long while for you to understand why am I getting a bad result in a very good, very well placed thing, or why am I getting a so good result in a very badly placed thing. Both can happen equally. You will only learn when you're a little patient. Okay. So Saturn represents that patience and the long wait, the perseverance. Despite failing, right? What did the Kurma Avatara also explain as they came to get Amrita, right? They came to churn the ocean to get the Amrita. What actually came out? The poison came out. They did not leave it there. Okay. They kept on churning. And at last, they got the Lakshmi as well, besides the Amrita, right? Lakshmi also evolved from there. The Swarga Lakshmi is what they call it, or the Indra Lakshmi, they call it. Right? Indra lost the kingdom, and that's why the Vishnu wanted to get this churning done, and ultimately to deceive the Rakshasas. Right? So Saturn is responsible, physically responsible. He would want to be physically present, although his back is being ruptured, so he's carrying that responsibility on his back, right? We always use this as an idiom or a phrase wherein we keep saying, I carry this on my back, right? It's a responsibility. So Saturn is meant for it, right? And Saturn also represents the coldest places, the refrigerators, the air conditioners, anything that is cold in nature is also represented by Saturn. Saturn also represents unclean things, unorganized things, unconventional things. And if see, usually mind works on patterns, and mind believes mind believes a few things to be right because they were proven in the past. So anything that is unproven, the mind would automatically disregard it and it would say that, look, it cannot happen. If I say something can be built in the air, had I not given you the example of the International Space Station, can you believe that something can be built in the air? You cannot. right? It can still be built in. All right. So darkness, it rules dark things. Okay, after the sunset things. So it rules the tamas. So it can rule the madhya or the madira or the alcohol that people drink is represented by Saturn. Okay. Saturn and Rahu, usually the combination will show up huge alcoholic, especially in the Navamsha. You have to look at it from the Navamsha. So, because if you see Saturn Rahu combined together, it will be there in thousands of people's of charts, and Saturn stays there for 2.5 years, and so is 18 months as for Rahu. So if this Saturn and Rahu are together, they'll be there at least for the 18 months. So all those people are they becoming drunkards? No, right? So you should also know how to apply it in the Navamsha. So I'll teach them. Don't jump into conclusions just by looking at your D1 chart. That is my sincere request to all of you. Look, I have got Saturn and Rahu together, but I don't drink. I know you don't drink for different reasons. Okay. So the color is pitch black or blue. That's why I actually restrict myself to say a few things, because a lot of people jump after the class is over and they forget the lagna and just straight away ask, look, I have got Saturn and Rahu together or Saturn or Jupiter together. I don't explain them, although I know most of them. I don't teach them because the problem with that is you're not using the lagna. So 90% of the times they don't work. Only 10% they work. If you know the prediction from the lagna and you have made a conclusion using the lagna, then use the combinations without the lagna, or the BNN, the Briganandinadi will work excellently very well if you know a prediction either using a nakshatra or using the positions or using the Navamsha. If you made a conclusion and then you come to the BNN thing, it will add up to your confidence and say, look, this is definitely going to happen, because even the BNN also says that. That is how a prediction should be. It shouldn't be like, you jump into just BNN, ignore your lagna, ignore your divisional charts, ignore your nakshatras, and just do the BNN. You will, 90% of the time, it will fail. I have nothing against the BNN people. Okay, I have a huge respect for them. However, the paddhati or the procedure has to be something like this. You have to be 100% confident that this result will happen. Then only you can say it. You can't be speculating by giving 150 results and of which you pick 3 results. No, I would say you give only 3 results and all 3 should be right for the horoscope. That is how the prediction should be. It should not be like 150 results and of which only 3 are right. Oh, anyway, it's given me 3 right predictions. It doesn't work like that. Okay. Saturn is a servant. Saturn is a helper. Saturn tries to volunteer. Okay. Also, Saturn is a very old man, right? So Saturn is physically not fit, but he's trying to help them. Anybody. So Saturn can struggle at places where there is huge physical work needed, but it can also cause laziness as well. What a lot of people think is Saturn is a servant, so he'll keep working. Saturn can also cause laziness if it is not well placed. Do not again think, okay, Saturn in the 12th house will bring in laziness. No, it is not as simple as that. Saturn can be there in any of the 12 houses and you can still have laziness. It depends on the relationship, what Saturn, Venus are doing with each other. This is what I have understood. It will take some time for people to digest these things. It will take a while. You can't jump into conclusions very easily. Moreover, laziness creeps in only if you're disinterested in some work. Please understand this. If you're very interested in a work, there will be no laziness. So it also depends on the moon, right? So a few things you will be interested, few things you are not. So how do you determine laziness is on the moon, Saturn, and Venus, because Venus is passionate, moon is the mind, and Saturn is the work. So it depends on these things, 3 things, along with the lagna. What relationship are they making? Okay. Because it is natural to be lazy for people as humans or animals. All of them are lazy. If people were not lazy, cars would not have been introduced into the world. Or anything that has helped mankind to progress has only increased the laziness of the people. Would you not agree? You all will agree. So naturally, people are lazy. Why they are trying to, perform leaving laziness is just because of the moon or the Venus that makes them passionate. That's all. Okay. All right. The guna is completely tamasika. Okay. And also sometimes a little of rajasika. So if you compare Mars and Saturn, Mars can have little more rajasika nature, but Saturn is mostly tamasika in nature. What does tamasika would mean is, delivering a punishment very easily. Okay. More the sattvika is, let's suppose Jupiter is there, even if there is a punishment, he'll not be able to deliver a punishment very easily. That is why people regard Jupiter to be unfit for, sakt rehna. What is that thing exactly called? Unfit for disciplining people. Okay. If you heard the Panchagiri's classes, he would say this person will be, if you have a Lagna Guru, this person will be very difficult to take tough decisions. That is the Sattvic Guna. Because, okay, that might affect the other person. No, Saturn is a very strict personality. Saturn can bring in strictness. Saturn can discipline other people. He can deliver punishments that can bring in transformation in the other people. He will not be afraid to deliver a tougher punishment for his, let's suppose there's a lecturer in a college or a school, I'm talking about those people, those teachers who were teaching us during the 80s, late 80s at least. After, I think, from the mid 90s, it's too difficult to give punishments in the school or college. Whoever were not studying well, they were strictly delivering punishments to those people. They were being beaten, etc. Just to bring in transformation, just there should be discipline in the person. Today, it is very illegal to beat children in the schools, but in the olden days, we were all taking the beatings from the teacher. All right, so Saturn can do that. So he'll not be afraid of delivering a punishment to discipline the person. That is why Saturn actually gives smaller punishments at the start of life. If you have a very good Saturn, what he does is, okay, this person has to go a long way in his life. Let me punish him and try to teach him a lesson so that he will be prepared for the journey that he is going to take up. So we have to all wish that Saturn give us a few punishments or few difficulties or few challenges in life that can actually shape up the rest of the life. We all should thank Saturn. In fact, Saturn does that job very well. Okay. The eye color is black. The body is weak, thin, old. Usually you have, thinner people when you have Saturn in the Lagna. Okay. However, it depends on the Navamsha Lagna as well. If your Navamsha Lagna has moon inside it, or Saturn is in the Cancer, then the whole thing will change, right? So always use the Rashi also of the Navamsha. Most likely, if you want to see whether the person is tall or short or fat or thin, etc., Navamsha is absolutely important. Without looking at the Navamsha, you cannot say how the person will look like. It's impossible. If you know the Navamsha, based on that, you can easily say with the planets in the Navamsha, and also looking at back in the D1 chart, you can fairly say, yes, this person, when he attains at least the adulthood, or maybe 30 years from the age, 30 years of age, he would look like this. Okay. The initial predictions, while he is like 15, 20, etc., they can all go wrong because of the Navamsha Lagna. Okay. So never estimate a personality unless he is married or, etc. When we teach Navamsa, I'll try to tell you all that. But the body with respect to Saturn is weak, thin, and old. The nature is Vata. Vata is windy. Okay. Hair is long but unclean, right? Or it can be what is that? Curly hair. Curly hair. Right? Saturn can give you curly hair. Nice hair, long hair, curly hair, etc. Okay. He's a cruel person. He can talk swear words, cuss words, etc. And religion, he dislikes prototypes. Okay. Doesn't like an organized religion. Doesn't he believes that there is God, he believes that there is Father, the Son, etc. are there, but he disbelieves an organized way of thinking about the religion, because religion In case of India, what happened is we call this mata, right? Mata is religion, by and large. Religion is like abhimata for us. Abhimata means matdan karna. Or what do we do on a mat? We give the vote, right? So religion is like vote for us. Either you vote for Hanuman or you vote for Rama or you vote for Shiva. We had options. If you're not comfortable here, you can go here and there. Because our people have thought well about this, that if you establish that there is only one God, that's what I mean, this is what I think. You just say that there's only one God, our people may fall back. So instead, if you have a family of gods, you can pick based on what you are comfortable with. Okay, the dhatu is hair, nails, and bones. He would live in unclean colonies, and he also rules alcohol. There are at least four pada. I mean, all the four padas of the Vimshotri that the Saturn rules. Saturn rules in the Vimshotri Pushyami, right, and Anuradha and Uttarabhadra. All of these are falling in water signs. So you can see Saturn causes, what is that? Emotional disturbances, because he rules water, right? From the nakshatras, he rules all the water. And he keeps polluting the water. Okay, the directional strength is the 7th house. Saturn always tries to see from the other person's viewpoint, or he, let's suppose the 5 people are boarding a bus, right? What happens then? There will be one guy who would stand aside and say, look, all you 4 climb up the bus, then I will get in. And I will ensure that everybody is in the bus. Okay, 5 is a number. It can be 50 as well. So a person who is standing at the last, giving way for everyone to go and ensuring that nobody else comes. Let us suppose there is an asteroid that has to come from outer space. It has to cross the Saturn area first, correct? Everybody knows that Jupiter stops most of the asteroids, and Saturn also helps in that, right? At least he tries to do that. All right. Directional strength is, I'm sorry, it should be first house here, the east house. Sorry, I didn't change it here. It's a mistake. So it should be first house in the east. So first house represents the self, and 7th house represents the selflessness. Okay, that's what I tried to explain it now. So when it so happens that you make Saturn a leader and stand in front of everyone and want him to deliver something as a leader, Saturn fails to discipline, or Saturn fails to show up, and because he's dark, he cannot show up. Sun is very bright. He can stand at the start and make the day start, right? Whereas Saturn doesn't have that quality of leadership. He rules leadership in a very different way. Leading from this front and leading from the behind or back, or whatever you would want to say. Okay, Sun is like leading from the front. He would discipline people. He will see that a proper hierarchy is established and the work is going. Saturn destroys all the hierarchy, tells that everybody is equal. That is why he is exalted in Libra, because Libra treats everybody equal. There is no casteism. There is no hierarchy. There is nothing that comes either by birth or by anything. Nothing is default here. Everybody has to work their way through up the ladder. This is what Saturn thinks. However, I'm not talking casteistly here. However, inherently people get talents, right? When you meet people first in the college, right? Inherently somebody is a singer, somebody is a badminton player, somebody else is a kabaddi player, good carom player. How has it come? He would be practicing at home in the free time that he has. So there is some inherent talent, like the singing. Not everybody can be a singer unless he has got some inherent talent, right? Because some things can still come from practice, and some things you still need some inherent thing that comes by birth. Let us suppose you want to be a great basketball player. You need a great fitness of body. That has to be coming inherently. You cannot have a sickly person playing a basketball. It cannot happen because he's not physically fit at all. Inherently, he has a poor health, right? Because health comes by birth. You cannot buy it. No, I will use medicines and make him run. No, it cannot happen, right? You have to agree that. Saturn disagrees these things. Okay. Or Saturn tries to say that, look, everybody is born equal, which is just to a large extent correct, but he fails here. Okay. I believe you must have got by now where Saturn can fail. So Saturn's Mula Trikona is 0 to 20 degrees of the Aquarius. He exalts in the Libra, falls in the Aries. This is what we have understood by now. So Saturn deals with ill health and other sufferings. This is what is Saturn meant for. However, disease causing is what Saturn is usually described as. However, disease can come from all the 9 planets, all the 12 houses. So just do not blame Saturn. However, suffering can come from Saturn because Saturn creates mental agony. Okay, Saturn, wherever it sits, it is trying to give mental agony, depending on the position he is and what planets he is along with. If you try to allow Saturn to, go over you, आप पे अगर हावी हो जाए Saturn, okay, if you're allowing Saturn to take over, what does Saturn do? Is it is going to give you agony. Because the expectation of Saturn is perfection. I need siddhi. But where is the whole world settling? It is going into asiddhi. Nothing in this world is perfect. Saturn wants to shape everything perfect. That doesn't happen. You have to always settle for a little less than what is perfect, right? So if you're settling for a little less than what is perfect, Saturn is always unhappy. Saturn tries to say that, look, I was ambitious of reaching there, but I only had to settle for less, right? That is why there is hard work from Saturn. I want to do it this way, that nobody else has done, etc. All that, right? Okay. Saturn also deals with obstructions in life. Horses, elephants, these are all for the prosperity. Okay. Anybody in the olden days, this is from the Uttara Amrita that I have picked up. These significations are available in Uttara Amrita. Anybody can go and read. There's nothing new about these things. Horses, elephants were conveyances in old days. It means that Saturn can give you conveyances. That means cars, bungalows. It can still make you rich. Okay. Saturn can also rule the skin along with the Mercury. Okay. Saturn will rule income, obviously, the 11th house. Saturn will set standards of life that, depending on the position of Saturn and the kind of person you are, will depend also from the Saturn, as I said. So he also sets standards. Saturn can make you feel the distress. Okay. Saturn is a kind of a person, even if you do not have a disease, right? You will keep thinking there is some disease, there is some disease inside me that is making me not work. It is actually a manasika thing or a mental thing that you have, mental blockage, wherein you feel that there is something wrong. Okay. Saturn makes you constantly feel that there is something wrong. So if there is this feeling of there is something wrong, is there something wrong? Is there something wrong? If this thought keeps coming back and forth to you, it means that your Saturn is weak. No matter even if it is exalted, if it is in the 7th position, exalted, the blessed position you may have, but still your Saturn is weak because this kind of thoughts are coming and going. And if you know, this will not happen all through your life. None of the people will have this kind of a feeling all through the life. It depends on the dasha that is running. Okay, Saturn may be very well placed from the lagna, but it depends on the dasha that you are running and how Saturn is working for it. So if Saturn is badly placed from that lagna, from that dasha thing, uh, again, it depends on a lot of things. When I teach you dasha, I'll tell you in more detail, because if I give you tidbits here and there, then people are asking questions only about that. Whatever is not taught, it will eventually come. So from the dasha, if Saturn is not well, there also it can keep telling you that there is something wrong happening. There's something wrong with the way it is happening. This keeps coming back and forth in your mind because Saturn corrupts your mind. Saturn doesn't like the mind to be stable. Because what does a stable mind do? It will follow sun. I'm Saturn. Your mind should not follow sun. It should follow me. I am the Saturn. Okay. This is what Saturn will do. And Saturn rules the enmity because it's the 6th from the 6th house. the 11th house is the 6th and the 6th house. Depending on, your strength and how your Saturn is, you will also develop enmity, because Saturn is targeting the siddhi, or the best that is possible. So if you're trying to have your targets high, you will have your enemies also big, right? Saturn rules sorrow. Saturn rules death. Saturn can rule happiness from a woman because he exalts in the 7th house, right? Having maid servants, or he himself is a kind of a maid or a servant. Okay, asses are like the donkeys, right? The donkeys are meant for hard work. It's a simple word, as in India, wherever you go, you call gadha. Gadha is meant for hard work, right? Kadudai in Tamil. So Kadudai is meant for hard work. Gadha, Gadida, Kadudai, these are all meant for hard work. Outcasts, or a person who is declaring himself an outcast and going out of the way. Outcast wouldn't mean a casteist comment. Please do not think it in that way. Outcast is somebody who disregards where he has come from and trying to do something very differently. Okay, in that fashion, if you take, all of us have disregarded what our fathers did. I mean, if your father was a pandit or a purohit or something, today you are a software engineer or some other professional, you are a CA. So you're not doing what your father did. So today everybody is like Saturn. We are all the outcasts because you're not following what your father did. That is what an outcast means. Doesn't mean, a mlecha or something that came up, later. Doesn't mean that. Roaring in the woods, okay, disgust, charity. Saturn wants to give up everything. He wants to do charity, okay. And Saturn is always disgusted, he's not happy with whatever is available. Sometimes it helps. If you're not happy with whatever is available, what would you do? You would try to change things, improve things. That is what Saturn is Karka of 8th house. Saturn wants to bring in a transformation, the 8th house thing. So sometimes it is very good to be unhappy with what you have so that you can improve your life, right? But it is always good to also have some happiness in life. Otherwise, you will feel mental tension, right? You need to have balance. That is what Saturn is. Lord's longevity, eunuch. Eunuch is a transgender. One born outside the 4 castes. Again, the same thing that I have just explained now. Birds. Okay, actually it's not the birds, the people who are born twice, like the Dvijas, right? Dvijas are one who has the Upanayana, the Brahman caste. That is the birds and the Dvijas. So the Saturn, a strong Saturn can show interest in orthodoxity, right? Orthodoxity. So, I mean, usually people, the Brahmin caste is regarded as having orthodoxity. So that is why in olden books, you will see that Dvija is written. So they are orthodox. So Saturn would represent orthodox things as well, especially Saturn in the trines from the Navamsha Lagna can show very orthodox nature. Okay, or interest in why the orthodoxity has come in, depending on the positions and aspects. I mean, why was there an orthodoxity existed a few years ago or a few centuries ago? Why there was orthodoxity? Okay, and so Saturn also rules the western side. That is where you get air. That is where the basic fire also will work. Servant duties, non-traditional duties, not having ego. Okay, I would say this is both good and bad. Do not think not having ego is a good thing. Sometimes it is important to have a healthy ego, because otherwise you'll become shameless. Saturn can make you shameless. Okay, it is sometimes important to let go of the ego as well. So you cannot generalize saying, look, I don't have ego, it's a good thing. No, it means that you're also shameless. So as long as you're not shameless, it means that you have some ego. That is self-respect, right? Saturn may lose self-respect sometimes, even if somebody is cursing him. If he has made up his mind and said, look, this is what I will do, he would do that. Okay, Saturn is actually stubborn that way. Okay, so sometimes if your Saturn is very strong, you may still be doing the wrong thing and you will keep justifying that, look, this is what I'm doing and I'm happy for whatever I'm doing. You can't ask me. Okay, that is stubborn thing. Wind, old age, tendons, strong at the end of the day. That's why I said, so alcohol, habits, these things are very probable in the evening between when the sun is setting, right? That is when you have all these Saturnine habits. Okay, the seventh house where Saturn exalts. Okay, so excessive consumption of alcohol addicts, drug addicts, prostitution addicts, all that Saturn can show. However, Saturn can also show resistance to all of that. Okay, I'm not saying Saturn in the seventh house, you will have all these habits. Please don't jump. Okay. If you're jumping guns, then you're done. Okay. You cannot have a single planet in a seventh. Okay, Saturn house, seventh house, you said that it will be all this. No, I don't have any of all that. Yes, I know you don't have any of all that because you're not using your brains and just jumping. If it was so easy, there would be a simple computer program set up by now and said, look, this feed up your date of birth and time and place, you will get it in a jiffy. You don't have to wait for people to give you a prediction. It is not so easy. Exertion of pressure, especially Saturn gives you tremendous pressure. Okay, because then look at how an AC or a fridge works. Fridge or AC works on compression. Compression is extremely putting pressure over something, compressing something. Okay, Saturn works on that. Saturn tries to compress you, put you into difficult situations in life and ask you to face this challenge and come out of this. And then you are a better man. Let us suppose a problem came in at a workplace, right? It usually will be helpful for people who are at work. At work, what happens is something crops up as a problem. Maybe what in whatever industry you are, assume it is first time you're facing a problem. Okay, there will be a senior manager of you who has faced that problem previously. Look at how you both of you will deal that thing, because the senior manager has faced it already in the previous experience. He would handle it much maturely, right? You at the start will feel like, oh my God, how do I address this problem? Because you don't have the experience, right? So what does Saturn do? Saturn puts you in that challenge, helps you solve that problem, and makes you an expert by facing that difficulty. You cannot avoid difficulties when Saturn is there. Saturn will make you a better person. Believe me, Saturn is the most excellent planet, I would say. Unless there is Saturn and unless there is good challenges in life, you cannot excel, right? So Saturn is extremely important. A widow's bastard, etc., are all there, but these are all just the significations. They don't work just like that. Born out of adultery and all that, because the Chaya and that story is there, right? The dirty cloth, a dirty house. Saturn likes, I would not say likes. Saturn does not have the privilege to stay in palaces because he has given up son. He said, son, I'm not going to stay along with you, although you're my father. I would rather stay along with those people who are marginalized, and I would try to stand alongside them and make them kings. Okay. Black color, sins, cruelty, ashes, grains that are in black color, like the till. Black till is what we normally use for Saturn. All precious stones, iron, any steel industry, construction industry, all that is ruled by Saturn. And in today's world, most of the things are ruled by Saturn. Most of the things. Okay. Anything other than the internet, everything else is today's industry is all Saturn only. There's nothing more than that. Okay. Saturn is very generous. See, he likes the 12th house, 8th house. Okay, so it's generous. Generosity comes from the 4th house, 8th house, and 12th house. The more generous you are will be known from these houses. So even if it is a bad house, 12th house or 8th house, it still in trines to the 4th house. All the houses are in trines to one or the other Kendra house. Pick up any house, 6th house. 6th house is in trines to the 10th house. Okay, so it will still work well for the 10th house. It may still bring in troubles for the Lagna, but it will still work very well for the 10th house. Okay, so you cannot say a position is bad. Okay, no position is bad, no position is good. I'll keep saying this all through my lectures, and you have to be mindful of this. Yes, no matter wherever a planet is sitting, you cannot decide, okay, you have 4 planets in the 8th house, oh, you are fit for nothing. Are you saying the person who made this software, Jagannath Hora, is fit for nothing? He is one of the best people that you can have to make the software. He has 4 planets in the 8th house. Please look at his horoscope. Okay, so a lot of people are saying you have planets in the 8th house, 12th house, 6th house. Please do remedies for them. Please don't fall for these things. They don't work. You may be thinking, I have a good planet in the 4th house. The problem could be from the 4th house planet as well. Okay. A lot of people are concentrating on the 6th house, 8th house, 12th house. But I will say 90% of the problems are due to the planets that are placed very well in your chart, not because of the planets which are in challenging positions. 90% of the times. Okay. So learning from another caste, lameness. Okay. So somebody who's limping, etc., can also come from the Saturn. Fierce and severe. Blanket. Why do you need a blanket? Is because it's very cold out there. Facing the west side. Okay, so Saturn is important if you want to travel to the west. Okay, remedies for restoring life, because Saturn deals with diseases. Saturn deals with death. So also restoring life is there because Venus is mostly alongside him. Living by agriculture or farming, that is the most difficult job on the earth, which will need a lot of physical work. And most people, common people, were all doing that thing at one point in time. It is agriculture in this area, in this country. So all the common people is ruled by Saturn. So general public, right? That is agriculture. One who knows where arms are kept, an ordnance manager. It's a cousin. External positions, fond of the northeast. Some things can, they may look like contradicting, but you will get to it when you know the whole stuff. So fond of the northeast would mean northeast is ruled by Jupiter. Why would a Saturn be fond of it? Because Saturn believes that Jupiter is equal, right? If you look at Saturn's Mula Trikona is Aquarius, what houses does it rule? It rules the 2nd house. Jupiter rules the 2nd house and the 11th house. So 2nd house is a friend and the 11th house is an enemy. So Saturn is a neutral for Jupiter is a neutral for Saturn. So Saturn thinks that Jupiter and Saturn are equal. So he would say, my friend Jupiter can still help me coach Sun and Moon and tell them not be against me, right? So he likes Jupiter for that. They can work together in a few things because they are big planets. They are the outer planets, right? World of the snakes, failing. Saturn fails. Saturn likes to fail, right? And wandering in battlefields, bones, lead, wicked valor, Turks. Turks are those, Turks in the sense it comes from the West. When these were written, there was no America or not much we know about the Europe. So it's written just as Turks, but it just generally represents the Western people from us. Torn clothes or things, because Saturn is usually dirty, torn clothes, is a poor man, not having enough money, etc. Oil, wood, tamsik Brahman. Tamsik Brahman in the sense who is consuming the meat and the alcohol, etc. Or who is not having any sattvika guna and trying to punish people, because Saturn is like Brahma, so he is like a Brahman also. Because Yama is considered Brahmana, right? Roaming in hilly areas. That's why I say so. It's not just from the birth. It was different based on what you were doing. Your caste is decided, right? A hunter looking downwards. Looking downwards would mean blaming everything on himself. Saturn is a planet who takes the biggest blame. and he is always, carrying a lot of guilt, right? He has a very strange or ugly hair. He is looking at the whole kingdom. He's very fearful of a lot of things. Saturn is phobia, right? You have a phobia, so you can look at where your Saturn is and then understand what your phobia can be. Okay. So if there is a phobia, then you may have to work on that. Okay. Goats and the like, buffaloes and the like, indulgence in sexual activities, displaying amorous intentions in dressing, worship of Yama, dogs, thefts, hard-heartedness. As I said, Saturn is very hard-hearted. He'll take decisions which are required, okay, to discipline or to bring in a transformation or for the betterment. He will not think, oh, what will the other people think, etc. He's a tamasika person. The Rishi is Hilambishi. The Gotra is Kashyapa, because Sun's father is Kashyapa. So Sun's Gotra is Kashyapa. Same is the Gotra that comes to Saturn. He is born on the Vibhava Nama Samvatsara, Paushya Masa. Paushya is the Pushya, the last month. Chaitra is the first month and Pushya is the last month. Saturn always prefers the last one. Sukla Navami, Bharani is the star in which he is born. He also rules the Shaurashtra. He is also the Avatara is both the Paramatma and the Jivatma Avatara. The Ushnika is the Chanda spirit. I would say this is all about Saturn. Anybody has any questions? I'll be happy to answer any questions from anyone.
Sir, can I ask something?
Yes.
So why is it like that all the nakshatras of Saturn fall into the water signs? Is there any particular reason for that?
Because Saturn is Saturn does not have water, right? Saturn wants to seek the water, right? Or Saturn is trying to give you emotions all through. What does Saturn do? It affects your brain. Saturn will keep showing that, look, this is what you don't have. And instead of being happy for what you have, Saturn makes you weep for what you don't have. Nobody in this world has everything. Does it answer you, or your question I have not understood?
No. My question was that is there any particular reason that all the nakshatras of Saturn fall into water signs? Since we say that Saturn makes us emotionless,
Right.
no, he makes you hard-hearted.
Right.
So is it because of that he's seeking that emotional health, or
One is that he'll seek emotional help. He needs emotional
okay.
help because he doesn't have a proper mother. Chaya is just is an image, right?
Yes. Yes.
Doesn't have a proper mother. And
Yes.
one is afraid of mother, and one he needs mother, and he dislikes his mother. All three are there.
Okay.
I mean, look at a person who was, who has had a stepmother and he has had bad experience with her. Look at the manasthiti of that person. Got it?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So in that case, if we hear a story alike that of a Saturn, so can we predict that, okay, Saturn is in affliction in the native chart, or Saturn is very prominent in the chart? Anything of that sort, sir?
None of them, because I know people who had this kind of experience, fought through it, and
Okay.
established themselves in the life.
Okay.
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 So for that matter, you cannot say that Saturn is bad. Actually, Saturn is giving you Saturn's job is only to give you a challenge. Will you drive yourself out of that challenge and try to be successful or not will depend on your lagna.
Okay. No, like I just wanted to know, like, will the position of Saturn be very prominent in the chart, like in Bharani Nakshatra or something that is
It
related to
will be
mother?
prominent. It will be prominent. The
Yeah.
first house or the fourth house or the Bharani or the Aslesha or the Jeshtha or the Rohini, those places, those nakshatras that I have, explained during the nakshatra thing, there you will find planets, Jeshta, Rohini, because these are fatherly things. Ardra is also a fatherly thing. Aslesha, Aditi is in Punarvasu. So Punarvasu and Aslesha are motherly things. Bharani is also a motherly thing. So these three stars, what else can you say? By and large, yes, these are those.
Okay. So I have one more question, sir, but not related to Saturn. Can I ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I watched your video about childlessness. Yeah. So there you had given an example of Oprah Winfrey.
Okay.
We have an example. So, but so she had a child and it died within few hours. So, do we consider that also in the category of childlessness? Like,
Sometimes, because ultimately she's not enjoying the happiness of children, right?
okay.
Having children alive and you dying in front of them is what all the mothers or the fathers would expect, correct?
Okay. Okay.
However, the combination will be shown in the D7. Maybe the explanation was, I mean, the time is one more constraint. We will not be able to explain it in detail sometimes. So if you look at it in the D7, it will be very clear. I don't remember her chart now, but it will be clear in the D7 that the child was born and it died. There will be a combination of the second house, second lord, eighth lord, etc., up to the fifth lord.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, in case of adoption, like the native is childlessness, because I recently got a chart where the native is childless, and all the combinations that you said are matching to the chart. All the combinations that you said. But the only thing that I was worried is if I want to see whether they can adopt a child, so what do I look? Do I look for Mercury, like placement of Mercury, or like what?
Look at the nakshatra that your fifth lord dispositor has. That will tell you will they have the children or not.
All are in Magha.
All are in Magha, right? So if that is the case, then it may be difficult unless the Pitris are satisfied.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, like Magha, we don't like, as you explained, that Magha is not a nakshatra that will not give you children. Like it is not negative for children.
Right.
But
But
yet I have seen that.
it starts with Pitrunam Magha, right? There is a
Yes,
clause there. It starts with the Pitrunam thing. So the
yes, yes.
clause is if your Pitris are unhappy, the first thing that they will do is they'll stop children.
Okay.
Yeah, because the sutra is Atma Vai Putra Namasi. Where are you coming from? You cannot live the whole life, so you're trying to give away your life to your child and you want to leave this world. So whoever
Yes.
has left the world are expecting some respects from us as children. So if that doesn't happen, then the Pitris are angry and that's why there is no child. So the best remedy that we tell them is do the Shraddha with all the respects that you have to do go to Gaya or go to that Brahma Kapala where it is just at the foot of the Himalayas, the
Yes.
Badrinath.
Yes.
We ask them to do that, and that is when these things work like gem. I have given this to many people, and they work.
Okay.
Yeah. The only thing
So,
is you have to believe in the thing that yes, the Pitris are unhappy, and we have to pay respects to them. Would you not
okay.
respect your father? It is an obvious thing, right? You have to. Yeah, go ahead. Got a
So,
follow-up
like
question.
that case, what I thought was, since it is in Magha, and since we say that our generation is progressed by sun, if I have a male child, then my generation will progress.
Not necessarily. The Vedas said
Acha, okay.
you should have santana. Okay.
Okay, only Santana. It is not
Yes.
about a male and a female
No,
child.
it's not like that.
Okay.
Only people, uh, intentionally interpreted it in a different fashion. Okay. We don't want to get into that debate. Now, 100 people will say, how do you know that and this? But I'm very sure either you have a
Okay.
female child or a male child, both will get you into moksha.
Okay. Okay, sir. So then if it is in Magha, then also until and unless the
See,
Pitris are satisfied, we can...
I gave a single line below. All the other
Yeah.
nakshatras are neutral.
Neutral, yes, sir. Neutral,
Okay, I
yes.
never meant
Yes.
that all the other nakshatras will give children. No, they are neutral.
Mhm.
You have to
Yeah.
see combinations. Okay,
Yes.
if the Magha, Mula, Bharani, they are all very active because they're all in they all fall in trines, right?
Yes.
Okay, and they can influence each other very much. So if there is a big
Yes.
punishment coming, then also if the let us suppose the person likes children very much, and if the karma wants to punish him, then he'll make him childless and make the person weep for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Yeah. That's it. And one more thing, sir. Like, if we want to see somebody like for the panchayat election thing, for a small locality like a council election or something, we take fifth house for that because that is what is
Yes,
fame.
you will
Yes,
take fifth house in the D10.
fifth house in the D10.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Like so, and any other planet like Sun, if Sun is well placed,
Nothing
but
like nothing.
nothing,
Doesn't
nothing.
work.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay,
Consider
thank you,
the
sir.
fifth house in the D10. It has to be well placed.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
Sir,
Yes, Vamshi. You don't need a camera. You can
camera.
switch your camera off.
Sorry. Sir, Saturn is Yoga Karaka for this Taurus sign, sir, as well as it is Badaka also for Taurus sign.
I
Then how we
neither
have to?
I neither use Yogakarka nor I will use Badhaka. I will simply use the nakshatra, the dispositor theory. It works 100% or more than that.
Okay, sir.
So do not consider, okay, what I have seen with people is, okay, Taurus ascendant, oh, Saturn is in exaltation. Oh, wow. Oh, Saturn is in debilitation. Oh, no, doesn't work like that. I have seen a lot of people who has Saturn in debilitation with Taurus ascendant. They have done wonders in life. Exalted Saturn in the sixth house Taurus ascendant, they did nothing in life. Both are there. So it doesn't work like that. I will not consider Yogakaraka and all that.
Okay, sir.
I would recommend you to please open up your mic and ask Gopal Krishna. It is more clearer. I don't want to read comments. Sir, for Cancer, Leo Lagna, in which position or condition Saturn does more good than bad? Probably this is your first class, so you're asking this question. I will say any planet, all 9 planets are good in all 12 houses. All 9 planets are good or bad in all 12 houses. So nothing called good. One position is good, one position is bad. This is an LKG level prediction. Okay. If you want to really understand what astrology is, none of the positions are bad. None of the positions are good. If you are in tune with what Saturn is offering to you by being in that position, if you're in tune with that, there is always a result. Okay, there is always a result. Use that result, be in tune with it, you are going to be happy. Take the example of this man, right? He has given his horoscope, PVR Narasimha Rao. Okay, we all should be very thankful to him, grateful to him. Look at his horoscope in the D1. He has 4 planets in the 8th house. If you don't take it to any astrologer, usual, this usual YouTube people who keep saying 8th house is bad, 12th house is bad, all that stuff, right? You show them this man's horoscope, they'll say this fellow is fit for nothing. He came first in the whatever IIT exam or something. He stood first, and then he went to IIT Madras, studied there, and he is a big. He holds Sanskrit, degrees, and he has studied Sanskrit. He's written the biggest software that the people use, and he still has got 4 planets in the 8th house. He is in tune with what he is, what the planets are saying. The 8th house planets will show research. The person is in research. The person is in astrology. The person does a lot of A lot of pujas, mantras, yajnas, homas, Satyanarayana vratas. You look at his Satyanarayana vratas and homas. He does it with great nishtha, right? So I will say all the 12 houses, Saturn is great. All the 12 houses, Saturn is bad. Both. Not only Saturn, all the 9 planets. If you ask such a question, right, it will look very, very basic. If somebody is saying for Cancer or Leo Lagna, Saturn is this, so placement here is good. To 15% or 20%, I will agree, but not the other things. Is your answer come?
Yes, sir. Thank you. On this, I have one question, sir. Actually, how to know which planet is in our horoscope at a single point of time? Every planet will be putting their effect. So our mind thinks as per that, and based on that, we'll be
That will come at the
filling the.
last. The question that you are asking, I understood. That will come at the last. You can't
Okay.
you can't do PhD without writing LKG, right? Today we are in LKG.
Right.
Yeah. Today we are in
Correct.
LKG. You're talking the
Yes.
PhD question. So you have to bear with me, stay with me for maybe 2 years from now. That is when you will know.
Yes. Right.
That is when you will know the
There are a
answer
lot
to
of
the
things.
question. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I had one more question. Is like there is a very common known term as Sade Sati. So does it really make a difference?
Very good question. Very good
Seeing a
question.
chart?
So I think the time will be over by the time I complete this answer. So I would say, if you say, I will say no. The first thing is, I will say, if you're considering Sade Sati, please don't consider it. It will not work. For one simple reason. The reason is rational, right? If you have just 12 kinds of people in the world, that is when the Sade Sati will work. Sade Sati is the AL run solvangala, the 7.5 years of Saturn. So there should be only 12 kinds of people in the world. I would think there are more than 8.4 billion kinds of people in the world. Me and my sister are not the same. We are entirely two different personalities. We handle problems completely differently. We think completely differently. Our work is different. Everybody's work is different. So at my office, there are about 25 people who work, and all of us have different rashis. None of our rashis are the same. So if the rashis are the same, if the industry is going upwards or downwards, Saturn puts an effect on us. We all should have the same rashi. It did not happen. I'm trying to give rational, okay? Now, what does Sade Sati do? I don't know what it does. It can put you under pressure, and it can make the astrologer earn some money. Other than that, unless you do the individual horoscope, everybody will be very, very harsh on me for this comment. But it's okay. But the reality is, Sade Sati doesn't work. Look at your individual horoscope and then make a prediction. That is how it will work. There are so many great people who have made great discoveries, became prime ministers or the head of the states, etc., while Sade Sati was running. That is the case. Then I don't think you should be worried for Sade Sati. Some people are, fourth house Saturn. What is that? Kantaka Shani. I don't know. Eighth house Saturn, fourth house Saturn, seventh house Saturn. Where does Saturn not put effect? That's what I'm saying. So why do you even worry for it? When Saturn can put effect on all your 12 houses. Fourth house Saturn is bad. Eighth house Saturn is bad. 12th house Saturn is bad. What is that? Second house Saturn is bad. Lagna Saturn is bad. 12th. Where is good? Saturn is good nowhere. Saturn is the most blamed one. In simple words, I am not using. If you want to use, you're free enough to use and confuse yourself. Take 100 people's horoscopes who are running Sade Sati. 50% will be good, 50% will be bad. What does it mean? It means that Saturn has no effect. or Sadesati has no effect. Rather, look at the whole horoscope. It can even show that Jupiter is the planet that is creating a trouble. Do a remedy for Jupiter. Why bother and blame Saturn for everything? Preeti, got your answer?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, because it is a very common term used all the times, and
That will
most of
make
the
that will
people
make
do.
astrologer earn money, right? You know the term. So if I say
Yeah.
Sadesati, right, he will inquire with the next guy who is sitting. Somebody told me Sadesati. ऐसा होता है क्या? So he'll say, yes,
Yes.
I know Sadesati. So he can earn money over it. That is what it
Yes.
can do.
Yes. Whereas it is only a transit that is happening over a planet.
Correct.
If I say it's only Saturn's transit over your natal moon.
Correct.
So now Dasha, everything that is running
I
will
will tell
decide.
you why this was Akshay. In that case, so are you saying all the rishis are wrong? No, I'm not saying all the rishis are wrong. I know. I'll tell you, we have been an agrarian economy, okay, and each Rashi is ruled by a place. For example, when you open up Panchanga, every year Panchanga comes in, right? So people will write predictions for uh, there will be a earthquake here, there will be a fire accident here, is what people will write. Everybody agrees this? Preeti, you've read this, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So every area is located by Rashi. Let us suppose Delhi is there. Delhi is ruled by Virgo. Okay. Similarly, each place is ruled by a Rashi. So if a Saturn transits through it, Saturn is a dry planet because we are an agrarian economy. And if your moon is there, it can so happen that you may not receive enough rainfall on your field, and that's why there is a drought there. That's it. Nothing more than that. Okay. That is why it is there. Today we are
Understood.
not an agrarian family, and Sadesati will not apply to us. Now the ordinary people will say, oh no, I have seen Sadesati. Sadesati was the most difficult time. It only coincided with a bad dashya of yours. You talk to 100 people, they will not even know what is Sadesati. 50% will not even know. They must have at least had one Sadesati, and they'll say, I don't know. See, Sadesati is 7.5 years. The mightiest thing is, no person in this world will have all the 7.5 years great. कंटिन्यूअसली किसी आदमी का 7.5 साल अच्छा नहीं जाएगा. तो you ask, okay, how has been your past 7.5 years? You ask anyone in this world, he'll say, this year, right, I had a problem. So you'll say, oh, look, Sadesati has worked. If this is the way you're concluding things, then I can't help. I mean, let us be logical, let us use rational. Okay, and if you want to blame Saturn for everything, I'm not stopping. Please go ahead and blame him. Also, you can count on me as well now because I said Sadesati doesn't work. So now you can say, look, this man also we can blame. I'm okay with that, rather than preaching something wrong. Understood?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Also, if somebody is born with Saturn moon conjunction, doesn't mean that his
I
entire
have
life is
Saturn moon
divine.
placed in opposite signs to each other. Saturn and moon are opposite to each other. Somebody will say Vish yoga, this yoga, that yoga. I don't think so. There's nothing called Vish. Vish is always there. Either Saturn is aspecting the moon or not. Moon himself is Visha, because Manas has the ability to think good or bad both. You can be dreaming bad things. You can also be dreaming good things. That is how capable Manas is. It doesn't need Saturn's help there.
Also, sir, as Saturn has three aspects, like the third
We'll
aspect,
come
seventh
to it
aspect.
the next week.
Okay. Okay, sir. Okay.
We'll
Fine.
come to it the next week.
Sure, sir.
Anybody else has questions?
Hello.
Yes, madam.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste. You have to be little louder, little louder. You're very feeble.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but very feebly. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, just now Preeti ji asked one question, no, regarding the three nakshatras. You told that Pushya,
Anuradha,
okay,
Uttarabhadra.
these are in watery signs, and because Shani is the dry, is attracted to that. Similarly, if you take Shukra, then
It's not
I know you
applicable
already
for all the
said.
planets, madam. It doesn't work like that. That is why Saturn does not no planets rule any nakshatras. Only in the Vimshottari planets rule nakshatras.
Exactly. Yeah, you always insist on that point. I understand that point.
Hmm.
That point I understood. Okay. So, I don't know. It's a silly question, maybe again. So you're saying you should not take it like that, right? Like
No,
yeah. Okay.
don't assume like that. Don't
Okay.
assume
Okay.
like that. It will not work with all the planets.
Okay.
That's why sometimes the rational doesn't work. So it is good to assume. I mean, it is good to assume Saturn does not rule any nakshatras. Similarly,
Yes.
no
Yes.
9 planets rule any nakshatras.
Yes. That's what you always say. This. That's why.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, sir. I still need to complete the nakshatra, the whole thing.
Please read nakshatras, then you will have
Yes.
very good insights.
Okay.
So one last question, small
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Many people say like you have to chant Hanuman Chalisa, Hanuman, or some specific deities. If we do that, Saturn will reduce the effects. Uh, does it work like specific deities if you pray or
Yeah, because
do
Saturn
chanting
is
of?
afraid of Hanuman. Okay, there is a story behind Saturn and Hanuman. Please go and read. Okay. Even you can ask the
Mhm,
chat GPT, what is the story of Saturn and Hanuman? It will give you in a second. Okay.
okay.
Yeah, please read
So
that.
is it only for Saturn or for other planets also there are such
Saturn is the
deities?
most blamed one. So you have more
Right.
stories for
Every
Saturn.
people, yes.
Yeah.
Right, right.
But 90% of the times I have seen people have remedied Saturn, nothing happened. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no change happened. So they wanted to solve their problem, but nothing happened. The reason is
Yes,
it's not the
right, right.
Saturn that is bringing you the problem. You have remedied it, it's okay.
Correct,
But Saturn is not
correct.
the problem. It is somewhere else the problem is. So nothing happened.
Yes, right.
Okay.
All people just fear for Saturn only.
Because
No
your
one
Saturn
will
will
bother
be,
about.
see, wherever your Saturn is, because of the third aspect and the 10th aspect, it will aspect some or the other planet and you will feel like, oh, this can be the problem. See, Saturn is well placed. I'm not saying it is bad place, but the aspect of Saturn is, it is on the 12th house or it is on the seventh house, something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It will aspect, right? Anyway, it is not
Right,
Jupiter. You
right,
can't
right,
ignore. So no matter what, it will
right, right,
aspect one or the other house, which is a good house or a bad house. And they'll say, look, this is the reason there is a problem. That is an escape, I will say. Or it is not the right way of analysis. You have to, if you
right,
are making a statement, you have to compare it at least from 2-3 places.
right, right, right.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. Let's take leave then. Thank you. Thank you so much. We don't have any more
Thank you,
questions.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It
Thank
was
you
really a
as
nice
well.
session.